president of the University of Pennsylvania has resigned after appearing to dodge questions about genocide during a congressional hearing on campus anti-Semitism. She will be replaced by literally anyone who knows you say genocide is bad.
Ah, yes. Turns out these Ivy League presidents, one of them is facing consequences for her radical extremist left-wing lunacy. Remains to be seen whether the other two. Looks like Harvard is holding tight. Although, President Gay, it's just fun to say that, isn't it? President Gay is facing what they like to call backlash, a lot of backlash. We'll see if it amounts to anything. You know what you need to do, like at the University of Pennsylvania, she had to go because money was involved. And everybody knows universities are first and foremost shakedown operations. Multi-billion-dollar real estate investment funds, Wall Street investment funds, and then they pretend to run a college on the side. But some good fun there. And that clip was from the Weekend Update segment on Saturday Night Live night before last. They call it the cold open. It's the cold open. And the open was really horrible. And even Saturday Night Live is taking a beating for this terrible cold open where they spent the whole time. It was about the university presidents, the Poison Ivy League presidents, coming and testifying on Capitol Hill and making absolute buffoons of themselves and of higher learning itself, certainly of the Poison Ivies. It was an extraordinary moment. But Saturday Night Live attacked Republican Congresswoman from New York, Elise Stefanik, who was asking the questions that embarrassed the radical left-wingers that don't educate people but steal the money of their parents anyway. And the attack on Elise Stefanik, where they mocked her. Did you know that Elise Stefanik actually went to Harvard? Did you know that? She's a Harvard grad. Her bachelor's degree is from the Harvard College, the Harvard University. And then I think she went to the Naval War College, but that was a separate thing as a member of Congress. But she's a Harvard grad, and she was taking him to task the other day. And the left is very angry about this because they don't enjoy being humiliated publicly like this unless it's sexual in nature, in which case they enjoy being humiliated in public, as long as it's sexual in nature. You're a Democrat Party. Quite extraordinary. I'm telling you. So we got that in the Saturday Live. We'll share some of that with you. It wasn't funny. Here's the problem with their efforts at humor. If it were funny, then it would be fine. But it's not funny. They sacrifice humor in the name of their extremist politics. And then I think the whole writing team went out and looted the local drugstore, don't they? What's that drugstore in New York that everybody loots? They got, they don't have it anyplace else, just New York. Whatever, it's probably going to go bankrupt soon anyway because of all the looting. So we got that. And again, it's the Democrat Party and anti-Semitism. They ought to be wearing armbands. They are the party of racism in America. Really, from lynching and the Confederate States of America and Jefferson Davis and Nathan Bedford Forrest and the KKK and Robert Byrd and the KKK. He was the exalted cyclops of the Democrat Party. Robert Byrd, I met him a number of times. I interviewed him. He was with the Klan. He was a Democrat because, that's where the Klan came from. They're the party of Jim Crow. They're the party of Great Society and LBJ, who famously said, I'll have all the beep voting Democrat for 100 years, but you can't use that word because I'm not a Democrat. That's an amazing thing. And now they're the party of, they sound an awful lot like Hamas, which sounds an awful lot like Adolf Hitler, and it's a little bit weird, isn't it? The Socialist Workers' Party of Adolf Hitler is being reconstituted, I think, here in the United States of America. They call themselves liberals this time around. Want to see if it'll work better that way. Amazing. Speaking of you remember I played the audio for you last week, an Oakland cafe that barred or tried to bar the Jewish woman from entering the public restroom at the place because she wanted to make video of all the anti-Semitic stuff that had been scrawled on the walls of the liberal left-wing Oakland, crime-ridden, Democrat-run Oakland. Did I mention it's in Oakland, which has been run by Democrats since the Democrats were in charge of the Confederate States of America? Practically. I'm embellishing only slightly. And the woman was barred. She is Jewish, and they're telling, you just like you Jews to go around claiming places that aren't yours because she wanted to use the bathroom. She's a customer at the cafe, but never mind that. Well, they fired the employees. The owners have fired the employees there, or as the media says, the workers, because they prefer the Soviet lexicon and not the Western lexicon. But never mind that. And because terrorists are what terrorists are, Hamas is now threatening to murder all of the hostages. What do they have remaining, Michael? 137 hostages, I believe. And they are now promising to murder every one of them, who they are brutalizing and raping and torturing even as we speak. And they say, well, we're going to murder them all unless our demands are met. What good are hostages if you don't have a list of demands? Amazing stuff. And I'm still, Michael, I looked again yesterday, but a person, a woman, it took us days to find out that it was a woman in Atlanta, Georgia, went to the Israeli consulate well over a week ago. And was it 2 weeks ago even? It's all their anti-Semitism is a blur now. But a lunatic went to the Israeli consulate in Atlanta, Georgia, drenched herself in gasoline. The media kept her gender a secret for days and days. And maybe the police there, too, because Democrats run Atlanta, too, witness all the riots and the crime and the carjackings and things. Pro-Palestinian protester self-immolates outside Atlanta's Israeli consulate. And I'm going to have to go back and look at how many days it's been. But they still haven't identified the person. No ID on that person. It's a secret because we've got a corrupt government everywhere you look in the United States of America and a lazy, corrupt news media everywhere you look in America. It's quite amazing. Thank God I'm here, honestly. So we got that. A New York University, a lot of anti-Semitism there. You see also at the George Washington University. The George Washington University, they had a seminar, and their seminar, I think, sponsored by Qatar. And things didn't go very well at the George Washington University. You'll be shocked to learn more anti-Semitism because they say Hamas really has a right to defend itself against those terrible Jews who run a civilized society next door and must be burned to the ground. So we've got that going. But a New York University student, where there's lots of anti-Semitism too, she tore down the posters of Israeli hostages and ripped them up because she wants to kill. She has murder coursing through her veins. She is, I think she claims to be a Palestinian, am I right? And it's fascinating. She's suspended from school and had her scholarship yanked. She had a scholarship to go to NYU. She's a jihadi. This is what happens when people that call themselves liberals are in charge of everything. Keep in mind, though, they're not liberals. They're the left. Completely different animal. Savage animal. Amazing stuff. So we've got that. And again, the Saturday Night Live thing, interesting stuff. The news media is angry because Republicans rout Ivy League presidents after Saturday Night Live goes off on Elise Stefanik for asking the questions, a Harvard grad herself. It's because they're sexist. Also, Lorne Michaels is the grand poobah of Saturday Night Live and always has been. And he was born in Israel on a kibbutz when it was the British protectorate of Palestine. That's like East Palestine, Ohio, where Joe Biden still hasn't visited, even though he promised he was going to after that toxic train accident. But never mind that. Yeah, Lorne Michaels was born on a kibbutz in Israel before the creation of the State of Israel, when it was kind of an international pseudo-United Nations, post-World War I League of Nations. British protectorate. That's where Lorne Michaels was born. You'd think that he'd snap out of it and wake up, but I doubt it. And this radical left-wing Democrat congressman from Maryland, Jamie Raskin, he's a pirate. Did you know that? He's a pirate. Arr. And he attacked. It's just amazing. Where does Trump supporter Elise Stefanik get off lecturing Jewish college president? I'm sorry, gay is Jewish? Is that, what are we doing? It's because they make this stuff up. Jamie Raskin is comfortable lying. He's a liar, and he lies a lot, which is what liars do. Pretty amazing stuff. But we did get the resignation of the University of Pennsylvania president, Liz McGill, who is that the one where she's the one that I think Elise Stefanik said, so it's okay to talk about perpetrating genocide against the Jewish students and faculty on your campus, as long as you don't actually have a genocide. I think that's the one that I think Liz McGill is the one that got that from Congresswoman Stefanik, who did a great job. Pretty amazing stuff. And a lot of big fighting going on at Harvard. Harvard boards, they have many boards. You know, I'm at Harvard, I'm on a board. I'm on the board for genocide of the Jews. They have one of those there. Harvard boards, plural, reportedly weighing Claudine Gay's, quote, mishandling, end quote, against letting Elise Stefanik win. Now, see how they frame this? It's an Elise Stefanik win, and she's a Republican congresswoman from New York and a Harvard grad, but you can't let that get in the way of your radical agenda. And so against letting Elise Stefanik win, I'm not sure those are the stakes here. The stakes are other than that, but you're Harvard. That's why you don't understand anything that's going on around you. Also, did you see Hunter Biden? Hunter Biden did and I first heard this Friday afternoon on the great Vince Coglianese show, the wonderful show, the Vince Coglianese show, which you can hear on WMAL in Washington on the amazing app, the WMAL app. But Hunter Biden did a podcast, you'll be surprised to learn, with a former musician named Moby. He just goes by Moby. And he was, interesting to Oprah for about 20 minutes, and that made him a lot of money. And Moby now has a podcast, and he talked to Hunter Biden. And Hunter Biden is such a pathetic clown that he's the victim and his father's the victim. And if you investigate the Biden organized crime family, then you're the bad guy because corruption is good and uncovering it is bad. And he's whipping out the N-word. See him whipping out the N-word? No, the Nazi word. It's the Nazis. And those terrible Republicans are trying to kill his father. Speaking of which, it was announced over the weekend also that Hillary Clinton is jumping into the Biden campaign. Speaking of wanting to kill Biden, because Hillary Clinton is now going to be out campaigning for Joe Biden. Better not have him in the same place at the same time, though, because she'd shove him down a flight of stairs before you know it. You can't trust her. Don't let her sneak up behind you, because she's a danger to Western civilization. But she's now going to be campaigning for Joe Biden. How can he lose now that Hillary, remember, but she had the election stolen from her, if I remember correctly, in 2016. That's what she said. Amazing stuff. But back to the university, even the corpulent Al Gore of the polar bear on the ice shelf fame says, I was shocked by the tone deafness of the university presidents over the anti-Semitism stuff. Now, you got to keep in mind that the Harvard, they're trying hard to not let Ms. Gay go, President Gay go. They don't want to let her go. But you got to keep in mind that Harvard has banned cis heterosexism. Nobody even knows what that is because it isn't anything. But if you offend the sensibilities of an extreme left-wing lunatic with gender dysphoria, then they'll kick you out of school lickety-split, call for the extermination of Israel and all the Jews therein, and you're fine. At George Washington University, they love Hamas. Great stuff. Because them, I love that Hillary's back in it because she's so much fun. Sheila Jackson Lee update from Houston, Texas. Speaking of not too bright. Violent Democrat criminals, of course, illegal aliens murdering, this time a teenage cheerleader in Texas, because the Democrats love open borders. I got Elon Musk. He's in trouble again because he keeps doing that free speech thing. And wait till you hear this Hunter Biden Moby interview. Whack-a-doodle-doo. We are at 888-630-9625.
This is for real. It is not made up.
Hey, it's Chris Plant, excited to tell you about our July 2024 Listener Sea Cruise. We'll be sailing around the British Isles, visiting Scotland and Ireland. Please join us. Visit chrisplantcruise.com. Well, I can take a phone call. Start talking to the nice people. What do you hear Hunter Biden talking to Moby? What a clown. He sounds like a drug addict or something. Let's go to which they're falling back on again today. Oh, feel sorry for him. Yeah, his father's a criminal, and he's the president. Let's go to Howard, calling from Manassas, Virginia. Howard, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Yes, sir. I'll try to stick with my original comment because you covered so many things. You got my mind going in 100 directions. But, it's not about Elise Stefanik. She is speaking absolute common sense truth. They want to attack her, go ahead. It shows you she's on the right side. But, you probably heard the same thing I heard this morning on Fox News. But somebody made a great point. On many of these same universities, as you've already kind of mentioned, if you so-called misgender somebody, you can be slapped around for whatever with hate speech. But you can say all kinds of horrible things about Jews, and it's free speech. And if you reverse that Saturday Night Live skit and make the Saturday Night Live person black and the other person white, they would never do that in a million years.
Right.
And, we are constantly crushed with all the hypocrisy. And I am very proud of those that are standing up. But, and I know that the majority of these people that are saying all those horrible things about the Jews are Democrats. You haven't seen any Muslims stand up and say, they're not going to vote for any Republicans over this whole thing. And the Republicans need to stand up and continue to be bold. And Chris, I'm a conservative Christian. I love the how you stand up for what's right. And I've heard missionaries say for years there's two reasons they think God continues to bless the United States, although we're worse and worse. And one is we send out 80% of the world's missionaries, and two is our relationship with Israel. And we know we're on the right side.
Yeah, we do. And the left is on the wrong side, of course, and that's the Democrat Party today. Yeah, and on campuses, they ban, conservatives and Jews. Yeah, we've got open border issues. I mentioned a 16-year-old cheerleader murdered in her home, thrown into her bathtub. An illegal alien has been arrested in the murder of the 16-year-old cheerleader in Texas. That is an open borders issue. The mother of another young man that was murdered by another illegal alien was on the television this morning. I want to share some of what she had to say with you because the Democrats love open borders. They love our border to be open. They don't care about other countries. They just want to make sure our border is open because they are here to destroy the United States of America. Most of them are too stupid to know what they're actually doing. They're just useful idiots. They're like Mongo. Am I right? They're like Mongo. They're but pawn in game of life, most of them. But they're cannon fodder for the cause. They call themselves liberals. We know better. The open borders thing is about the total destruction of the United States of America as a cogent and coherent nation. A nation without borders is not a nation. It's a landmass, nothing more. And with that, let's go to Chet. Calling from Linden, Virginia. Chet, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, good morning, Chris.
Hey, Chet.
Hey, I heard a rumor over the weekend that these illegals are getting a $5,000 gift card in addition to all the other benefits that the taxpayers are giving them. And I'm wondering if that's true.
Well, that's an interesting thing that you asked. We didn't actually get to it last week because I always say, Chet, they give us too much stuff for a 3-hour show. But you are referring to the sheriff of Pinal County in Arizona, whose name is Mark Lamb, like lamb to the slaughter. Mark Lamb is running for the United States Senate now in Arizona as a Republican, and he's a conservative. And he is the one that brought this up last week. And since you asked it, we actually eyeballed the audio the other day, but we never played it. And I'm going to play it for you now because that's what we do. We're an interactive medium, not like CNN or MSDNC or anything like that. So, Chet, this is for you. This is Sheriff Mark Lamb of Pinal County, who is running for the United States Senate in the state of Arizona.
Hey, folks, Sheriff Lamb here. So I got a truth bomb for you. You know, we see all these people coming across, mostly military-age men coming from China, from Africa, from all over the world. Most of them not even being vetted when they come in here. But here's what's really going to bother you. When these folks come across and they're processed, they're being given a cell phone, a plane ticket to wherever they want to go in this country, so probably to a community near you, and a $5,000 Visa card. So while this Christmas season, you're struggling to keep your lights on, while you're struggling to pay your rent, put Christmas presents under the tree for your kids, we have our government giving people that came into this country illegally $5,000 gift cards.
That's I believe, Chet, the point of origin of that story. You said you heard a rumor over the weekend. I'd say it's more than a rumor. It's a Senate candidate in Arizona who's a sheriff. He's not a deputy sheriff. He's the sheriff. And there he is on camera, Chet, saying it out loud for all of us to hear. And the rest of our corrupt, filthy, rotten Democrat Party bootlick media completely ignores it, wouldn't bother to check it out because that's the media we have.
Yeah, I hear you. So my question would be then, why, any listener out there who's a Democrat, why on earth would you vote for a Democrat?
I guess because they've been taught that the United States of America is the most terrible, horrible, racist country in the world, and it has to be destroyed, and then they're going to replace it with a slave ship where everyone is beaten with truncheons all day long, and then the left will be happy. It's kind of a suicidal death cult at this point, Chet.
Yeah, I hear you. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Chris. Well, have a good day and stay on top of stuff, man.
I'll do what I can. It's quite the challenge. Since we're here, Michael, we should probably go to the nice lady who was on the television this morning, whose son was murdered by an illegal alien. Since we're talking about all the illegal aliens and the Democrat Party's open border policies, which they lie about all the time, because they're very comfortable lying about pretty much everything. That's we would think that was a problem. And just a few years ago, the whole country would have thought that was a problem. But here's the story out of Texas. Illegal immigrant arrested in death of 16-year-old cheerleader in Texas. Police in Texas have arrested a suspect in the death of a high school cheerleader who was found dead inside of her apartment, living with her mother, that she shared with her mother. She was found in the bathtub. And he is an illegal alien because, that's your Democrat Party's plan for America. And if you raise an eyebrow, they call you a racist, since they're the party of lynching black people and creating the KKK. And this is a terrible, horrible story, of course. The December 5th, the mother of 16-year-old, her mother, found Lisbeth Medina, who was a student at Edna High School in the southeastern Texas town of Edna, discovered her unresponsive daughter in the bathtub at the Cottonwood Apartments. They're sharing an apartment, the mother and daughter. Police and first responders arrived at the scene, determined the young lady was deceased, spurring a manhunt that culminated in the apprehension of Rafael Jovia Romero. And Rafael Romero is now in custody. He's been charged with a crime believed to be in the surveillance video, shows him at the building and in the time frame and taken into custody in Schulenburg on Saturday. And the police describe him as an undocumented male. All right? So that's what's going on here. And 16-year-old Lizbeth Medina, a cheerleader, was actually on her way out to do tryouts for a cheerleader practice and so on when the undocumented male, Rafael Romero, showed up and murdered her and left her dead in the bathtub. The other details will require an autopsy. And here's the illegal alien, a picture of him in handcuffs because the police, who the Democrats want to defund, hunted him down and caught him, at least so that he won't kill again outside of prison. Now, let me go to the nice mother here. Soundbite number 20. And here she is. We've got a name for parents of children who were murdered by illegal aliens because it's a growing club. And they call them angel mothers, angel families, angel fathers. And here is Agnes Gibboni, who is also an immigrant to the United States and fled a communist country. And now her son was murdered by an illegal alien. She was on the Fox News channel very early this morning, I think in the 5 o'clock hour, in the 5 a.m. hour. Angel mother Agnes Gibboni talking about the murder of this 16-year-old cheerleader in Texas by an illegal alien.
This murder's responsibility completely falls on Secretary Homeland Security Mayorkas. He has blood on his hand. He should be impeached for his conscious and deliberate dereliction of duty. This is an insanity that needs to stop. Our government is not taking notice of the invasion at the southern border. They don't even know how many people have come in. How many more victims, Todd, do we need to have?
Honestly, that's a fair question. Now, this poor woman had her son murdered, her firstborn child murdered. She now, Agnes Gibboni, is a Republican, as you might imagine. She ran for election, the House of Representatives in California, and lost the general election because Democrats like more murder. That's the crazy thing about these people. More Democrats, more murder. More Democrats, more carjacking. More Democrats, more home invasions, more shootings, more drug overdoses, more murders of cheerleaders by illegal aliens because Democrats. And here is Angel Mother Agnes Gibboni.
If I may take a moment just to show a few of the pictures. This is Ruben, shot and killed, executed, 13 years old.
Now let me pause this for just a second. She did something that I thought was very smart that Republicans on Capitol Hill, not always very smart, ought to do every time Alejandro Mayorkas and the others show up on Capitol Hill to testify. She has a bunch of foam board photographs that are 2 feet high of murdered children murdered by illegal aliens. And Republicans in Congress ought to confront our corrupt government officials with a stack of these photos and ask them, do you know her name? Do you know his name? Do you know? And all these people murdered by illegal aliens. And Agnes came with a stack of these photos, 2 foot high photos on foam core board and started leafing through them.
This is Rebecca. Here is Javier. He was a border patrol. Here is Lacey Ferguson. Here is Josh Wilkerson beaten to death. Here is Haley King, and here is my son. This is just a small fraction of how many people have been lives completely destroyed by this insanity. All these families are forever going to have an empty chair at your table. And just before the holidays, my heart truly goes out to this mother.
Amazing stuff. Now, Agnes was born in communist Hungary, then communist Hungary. She was born in Budapest, and her family escaped communism. And I've got to say, and she ran for Congress in California and lost because Democrats are not on our side. The Democrat Party has brainwashed millions of people into being anti-American. It's an extraordinary thing, but it's happened. And the way that she flipped through these large photos of the murdered children murdered by illegal aliens thanks to Democrat Party policies, something that Republican members of Congress ought to be doing every single time Mayorkas and these other clowns show up on Capitol Hill, and they should be taken to task. Now, again, here is Agnes, who fled the communism of the former Soviet Union, no longer the Soviet Union, thanks to the United States of America and Ronald Reagan. You're welcome. But Budapest, Hungary, and now the United States of America.
This is a responsibility of our government. You're showing pictures of my 2 daughters and my son. It breaks my heart. And this is a responsibility of every American. We need to speak up. We need to get informed. We need to get involved. We need to fight for our country. We are losing our country. My family came from a communist country. We're turning into what my family escaped from.
We're turning into what my family escaped from. My great friend Sebastian Gorka, his family also escaped the communists in Hungary, made their way to Great Britain first, and now obviously Sebastian, a great American here in the United States. This woman is warning us. How many times we've had women from China, from Vietnam, people from communist countries, from Cuba, warning us here in the United States. This is how it started in the insert communist country here. And this is why we fled, because these aren't liberals. This is the left. This is the left. Completely different. The left, communists, the Soviet Union, Hungary, North Korea, Vietnam, Cuba, countries where your voluntary departure is termed an escape. That's a clue. That's definitely a clue. Amazing, amazing times. You know what it's all about, don't you? Barack Obama summed it up. Barack Obama summed up what their goal is, because they're not on our side. And, Barack Obama's mentor when he was a teenager, Frank Marshall Davis, was a radical left-wing extremist, literally true, a card-carrying member of the Communist Party in the United States of America. And Barack Obama's CIA director, John Brennan, voted for the Communist Party candidate for the presidency of the United States, Gus Hall, and bragged about it for years. You see a theme emerging here? And Barack Obama, he warned us what he was looking for.
We are 5 days away from fundamentally transforming the United States of America.
And the crowd went wild. The crowd went absolutely wild. Yeah, fundamentally transforming the United States of America. Why would we want to fundamentally transform the United States of America? And how are we going to do that? Do you think open borders might be playing a role in the fun? And we got thousands and thousands of Chinese, of Iranians and Syrians and coming in across our southern border. And they keep ringing the dinner bell here and handing out $5,000 Visa gift cards, according to the Pinal County Sheriff in Arizona, who's running for Senate, Mark Lamb. And remember, Barack Obama warned us.
Instead of worrying about whether immigrants can learn English, they'll learn English. You need to make sure your child can speak Spanish.
Yeah. I've got a next-door neighbor in my building that's lived in the building for about 30 years. And she's from a Latin American country, a Spanish-speaking country. She speaks Spanish. In fact, 30 years in, she speaks less English than I speak Greek. And I don't speak a lot of Greek. She can't say good morning, good afternoon. The whole idea is you flood the zone, you create these pockets. You got the, Muslim Arab no-go zones in Michigan and Minnesota now, like they have in France, because the Democrats have a plan for us. Not to benefit us, but they've got a plan.
We come from Bulgaria. Well, things are very bad there, monsieur. The devil has the people by the throat.
Yeah, we got more. We got Hillary Clinton today. I think it's important to remind people of Barack Obama's fundamental transformation of America threat. the Democrat Party's long-term plan and who's behind the curtain controlling the sock puppet that is Joe Biden living in the White House. Obama's got a much better life outside of the White House. And Michelle, and they're still lurking when it comes to who will be the Democrat nominee on Election Day next year. I said many months ago it would not be Joe Biden. But now Hillary Clinton jumping back into the fray. Did you feel it? It was earth-shaking. She jumped in to the fray, and it caused a seismic reaction, measurable on the Richter scale. And she's still bitter. She says the 2016 election was stolen, which is fine because Democrats can say the elections were stolen. And the New York Times nods in agreement. Extraordinary stuff. So we got that. Also in Congress, the Biden impeachment inquiry. The House of Representatives, controlled by Republicans, planning a vote this week on whether to proceed. This is a procedural vote, but it matters. Whether to proceed with an impeachment inquiry, which is more or less ongoing, but it is an official part of the process. And it will be real good when they do take this vote. Nancy Pelosi weaseled her way through those with President Trump. But Republicans have to do it straight because for Republicans, there's a press corps out there that's looking to hold you accountable. They're not going to be fair if you're a Republican, but they're looking to pounce. Whereas if you're a Democrat, you know, you could shoot the Pope in the middle of Fifth Avenue and the press would applaud you taking a step for religious liberty or something. But we got that. And Hunter Biden also supposed to testify this week on Capitol Hill. He says he may or he may not. He said, "Don't you know who I am?" Through a lawyer, of course. Got that coming up.